The best thing you can do for your copywriting business is to treat it like building a house. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. If you're a copywriter, a marketer, or business development professional, and your job is to help other businesses grow, you want to have a clear and decisive plan to grow your own business. Like building a house, you need a blueprint. This blueprint is going to outline who your customers are, what are their concerns and desires, not necessarily what they need, but what are their concerns and desires. For example, they need profitable customers. They don't just need customers, they need profitable customers. You're going to drill down into every point that your customer makes or needs or wants or desires so that you can extract the reason why they should do business with you over anybody else available. You're going to build the house with a strong foundation. Again, that is customers who can pay the bills. You want businesses that want to grow. I see a lot of folks online trying to convince people how to market their way. So let's say you're a direct response marketer. They're trying to convince people the benefits of direct response. Why not start with a strong foundation and go towards businesses who already use direct response? You don't have to train them. I worked for Lilly and Vernon for a while. They used catalog marketing, and it was like pulling teeth to get them to do any solo direct response activities. So there was one time the catalog didn't print, and they couldn't send a catalog out, and they panicked. And I went over to there's a catalog manager that knows what products do well on each page, and then they have a lot of statistics about what's going on. I said, look, why not send out a flyer that has your top 4 products that lead to additional sales? See, the catalog wasn't going to come out for another month or so, and it didn't connect with them that they could literally take a page out of what they intended to send in a catalog, and they could send it as a standalone mailer. Now they finally did it. It worked out well. But the thing of it is, they didn't have it in their mind that they market any way other than a catalog. So the first thing you do with that kind of company is not a direct mail piece. It would be a catalog, because that's what they're used to doing. So you almost build that foundation on a specific set of customers and enter the door with that customer the way they already market. Now, you don't want to show them how to do what they do better, because they don't want an incremental growth. They want some transformational experience, and that's really how you're going to get their attention. So you say to the catalog marketer, here's how you send a smaller catalog that costs less per piece, yet double your sales. See, you sell them what they already have. Now, once you have a relationship with them, you can start introducing them to other solutions. You can say, oh, by the way, you had a 40-page catalog that did really well, but page 10 did extra well as far as getting an initial new customer. Why don't we tear out page 10 and we test it on a list of target customers? And then you introduce them both to the demographic services, where you can have same audience matching, because even Lilly and Vernon had a website. Right? You can say, hey, look, we can send a smaller catalog, send them to the website, and then ultimately get them in on that second sale. And then send them the full-size catalog afterwards, because you know the full-size catalog works. So you're constantly rolling back into what they do well. But now if we're working with a newsletter company, maybe a different product set, the newsletter company isn't necessarily going to want to do a catalog, but the newsletter company could have a lot of back product that sit in a warehouse somewhere, and they could be introduced to putting their freestanding inserts, which goes inside of a newsletter, their freestanding inserts. Why don't we put all your freestanding inserts together and test that as a catalog? Because you know the freestanding inserts work. Put a cover letter on it, put it in a nice little catalog format. We don't change anything about it, and we get it out the door. So you become the idea person to expand their existing marketing activities, and then that gets them the comfort level with your agency or your copywriting activities. Now, many of the people who subscribe to ad briefings are copywriters, but many more are small agencies. And really what we need you to do is get you to $1 million+ US. Because that's where you're going to be able to take home a good 6-figure income. That's where you're going to be able to hire the support staff necessary to do these tangential things. But again, you build on a strong foundation of customers who can pay, stay, and refer. Customers who you understand what they already do. Maybe you've collected a library of their materials. That's the walls of your house, and you have an idea of what to approach them with that is not too far-fetched from what they're doing, but demonstrates a transformational position. Data analytics is a big thing today too. Just because you're writing copy doesn't mean you can't get paid for the research activities you do. Have you ever taken a client's customer list and found them other mailing lists that are useful? And by the way, folks, if you're not using mailing lists, you're just not serving your customers, because all of this, it's creative. It's fun to do a podcast series. It's creative and fun to do some kind of, social media thing. But if you're not buying paid advertising, then you're not really able to test as quickly as possible. Now, I do know I had a client that had, 1.5 million subscribers, and they had hundreds of thousands of page views every day. Yes, you can test on those sites. You can test 4 or 5 ads a day on that kind of site. But ultimately, not every client's going to be like that. And in order to build a portfolio of clients, you need to, again, meet them where they're at. Next, show them the transformational experience. So that could be writing case studies about your own clients before you get a job writing case studies for someone else's clients. And it's also building on their past successes. In order to know what the past success is, you got to ask the questions necessary. So I like to put that initial consultation in there somewhere. I like to know who the customers are. I like to go in and with the initial consultation and then set up that transformational experience. Now, to be honest, you're not going to get perfect at all this stuff. You can't be the best at copywriting and the best at also customer acquisition. But if you're good at customer acquisition and you get better at customer acquisition, then you can always hire other copywriters. I know I say it time and time again that copywriters are a dime a dozen, that creative people and graphic artists a dime a dozen, but you need to have the intelligence to know what is good copy and what is bad copy. Because remember, you're up against Fiverr and all these freelance networks that have thousands and thousands of copywriters out there that'll do a $99 press release. In order to get to the 5-figure project, in order to get to consistent and regular customer and client work, you need to be separate of these other points. So the finishing on the house is the unique character that your agency brings. What is it that's unique about you? See, I don't dress up and get all fancy, and try to impress you with my good looks. I often focus on the intellectual side applied specifically to a direct response that is accountable. So you spent $1 on advertising and you got back how many dollars? So here's some of the questions you might use in a consultation. You know who the customer is. You've got swipe files of their materials. You got swipe files of their competitive materials. And you go into the marketplace and you ask the question, hey, look, did your last campaign yield $2 for every dollar you sent out? And then you talk about why it's important. Well, it's important because if you spend $1 on advertising and you can't net $1 at a minimum, then you can't continue to advertise. So what are the 5 things you need to know in order to have accountable and profitable advertising? Now, you don't send this out to people who don't know what the hell you're talking about. You send this to people who already measure their marketing, and you put in the doubt that maybe they're not measuring it quite right. Maybe they don't have the unique talents that you deliver in order to help them understand and go to that next level. So it's the catalog company. Could your catalog be more effective? Do you know the minute details of that copy to audience match? Contact me for a 12-point analysis. Do you see what I'm doing here? We're finishing out with your unique characteristic, your agency's unique characteristic, and it's better if you're going from copywriter to agency, you want to have you as the unique character, and then the agency starts where you introduce the unique character of your agency, and then you backfill with all these freelancers that are available out there. Now, they're not all good. You need to know what words that sell. You need to know the proper structure of a sales letter. You need to know the research methods necessary to have accurate pictures of your clients' target customers. But can you see where I'm coming from here? You want to build yourself a blueprint. Now, if you're already successful, you've got $200,000, $300,000 a year in revenue. Maybe you've got a personal assistant that's helping you with the copywriting, and you got an even flow of copywriting coming in. You could do this kind of analysis on yourself to see what already works in your business. And then we start scaling that up. We start cloning that. We start automating that. Now, I'm not talking about marketing automation where you get the latest new CRM platform. I'm talking about just being more consistent about your lead generation, being more consistent about your initial customer acquisition, maybe getting somebody on the phone who's scheduling consultations, or you're doing webinars that are structured like a consultation. Can you see where I'm coming from here? You want to build it from the bottom up. You want that firm, strong foundation. Then anytime you have a problem, you just go back to what you know works. So you're going to have about 80% of what you know works that you're scaling in volume by renting mailing lists, by doing paid advertising. And then you're going to, from that point, add to that the additional services based on your client needs. And then from there, start backfilling the staff that you need to do, for example, a 5-figure project that might be 12 marketing pieces. You might write the entire newsletter for a nonprofit and concepts like that. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. I want to thank you for watching today's program and ask your questions. I love getting your questions. I don't get as many questions as I'd like, but the questions are the basis of the membership site. Questions are the basis of any of these podcasts, and I want to make sure I'm serving you well so that you can grow your copywriting freelance work or small agency work into $1 million plus program. I want to make sure that you're able to properly staff. You're able to have the automation that you need. You're able to do large enough campaigns that you're really filling a pipeline and growing your marketing agency. And then maybe even get to the more complex world of business development where you're working out joint ventures and you're getting paid greater volume of residuals. Again, ask your questions at www.adbriefings.co.uk. Thanks for listening.